I traveled to some part of my state with the governor, and I think he was commissioning streets. And people came out, they were happy, they were rejoicing, pomp and ceremony. And I thought to my little self at the time, what is wrong with these people? Why are you celebrating? It's your money they used to fix the road. It's the man's work. Why? But you see, the curiosity in me stirred up something. I got home and I went to my radio show and I turned on the microphone and I said, I'm curious. Why is it that government uses your taxpayers' money to fix roads that as they should, but then you roll out the drums and celebrate them and they take it as part of the things that they've done as a government?
Hello everyone, how you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Malizu Joy Adaku. I hope you're having a beautiful day. This is the Flow with Joy segment. I have a beautiful guest on today's show. Would you want to guess her name? Her name is Maryann, but I'm going to allow her to introduce herself and what she does. Please, can you kindly introduce yourself and how are you doing? Before we proceed, first and foremost, how are you doing today?
I think that I was trapped to do this interview. But I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So my name is Maryann. I'm a broadcast journalist. That's it.
That's not possible. You have a lot of things you do. So
I'm a broadcast journalist.
No.
That's an umbrella of many things.
Under broadcaster, what roles do you play?
So I'm a producer. I'm a trained camera person. I'm an international peace advocate, Rotary International precisely. I'm a mediator. I'm a show host. That's my major job. I host a program on the radio called Hard Facts. I also host a politics show on television once a week. Most importantly, I make my audience aware of what's happening in the news world, and of course, I also help them to understand their rights and their responsibilities. I guess that's it.
Interesting. So before we proceed, I just want to say something. You look beautiful. Did I say that earlier?
And I didn't wear my makeup. I didn't even come on my Sunday best. Oh gosh, next time I'll look pretty.
Yeah. But all the same, you're still looking beautiful.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Feel hungry. I want to eat.
Don't worry. You're going to eat right after the show. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. You see this girl.
Anytime I want to interview my guests, I always ask them a question. How ready are you to flow with joy?
I was born to do this.
Let's go. Okay, so what inspired you to pursue a career in broadcasting and how did it start?
I wasn't necessarily inspired to go into journalism. It happened upon me, and I always love to tell the story. And I told one of my bosses the story today before I went on it. As a university student, I was after my diploma. Initially, I wanted to be a lawyer because my grandfather was a lawyer, a very successful one at that time. He spoke the best English and he had the best carriage, and he could not say anything that would make him shudder or anything. He was just a superb human being, and I just wanted to be that guy. But unfortunately, jammed me. So at some point, my uncle's girlfriend at the time just said to me, there's this great diploma course that they're doing in the universities now, and you can do it for 2 years, and then you can get direct entry into the university. And I was like, okay, what am I doing at home? So I got a diploma in English and literature. And after my second year, I was we were asked to go do some internship or placements in places. I literally wanted to work in a bank. I don't know what I was thinking back then, but all the banks were like, you studied English, sorry. So I ended up. I remember my dad saying, "Oh, you thought," because my mom and my dad worked in NTA. That's how they met. So I'm an NTA baby. Yeah.
They produce an NTA baby.
Yeah, so my dad was like, "Oh, you should come and go and work at my old place at work." And I was like, "That did please. Sorry, NTA guys." And And then my dad said, "Oh, well, there's crossover broadcasting. You can go meet the GM. I know him. He could place you there. It's a better place to actually work." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Reluctantly. Long story short, after a year of my internship, I was retained. And in that year, I met a friend who's my best friend today. I always tell the story with her name because she made me become a journalist. I mean, unknown to her. So we used to just see ourselves, and say hello to each other. Hi, 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 I like your shirt. Hi, hi, hi. And I used to just say to her, I love your bow legs. You have the cutest bow legs. And we just, so one day she just said, oh, well, one reporter's short. And I told my boss that you have a TV face and you should do. And I just like, your name, what's this? Please, ma, I came here to do internship. I'm not interested. She said, I told you. So 2, 3, maybe weeks later, by the way, I must add that I was working with people that I idolized my whole life. And it was so fun to work with people that were stars, that you knew they were stars, and then you see them every day, and they're like, and they say, "Hello, how are you?" And you're like, "Oh, she spoke to me," that kind of fun thing. So one day, this lady, her name is Maryann, she lives in the US now. She was an honor person. She used to do the breakfast show. And she stops and says, "Oh, hey, Maryann." I said, "Yes." So Kami told me that you would be in for the reporter job. So um, I just came to be sure that you had the face for it. And I was just like, no, I told her no. She said, well, I'm not asking, I'm telling you. See you on Monday. And that
Just like that.
And that was it. And I was like, oh my God. Anyway, my first few weeks on the job was messy. I was sweating in front of the camera. I was opening my mouth to talk, and the words were not coming out. It was terrible. I don't have a great story for my first time. But over time, I beg your pardon, I got used to it. And then that's how my story started. I started off as a traffic reporter, and then over time, I became a proper news reporter. And then I got more curious, and I said,
See where your love for politics
no, you haven't. We've not gotten there yet. I was just a normal news reporter. And I just loved it. I loved because my father was a cameraman and a producer, so I started getting interested in camera work. So I remember my first trip to Dubai back in the day. Maybe it was like 2003. I got myself a JVC camcorder. And my dad taught me how to use it. So I would take myself out on reports and record myself and do. Unknown to me that these things I was preparing myself for the future. Fast forward years later. Um, the chief press secretary to the governor asked me, would you like to work in government house? And I was like, yeah. I wasn't sure what I was signing up for. But then the governor of my state, who was one time Minister of Power and Education, okay, was the governor. I was opportunity to work in government house. Now, when I got to government house and saw the world inside the walls of government, my curiosity grew. That's when I knew that I was going to be a political journalist, but I didn't know fully. I I traveled to some part of my state with the governor, and I think he was commissioning streets. And people came out, they were happy, they were rejoicing, pomp and ceremony. And I thought to my little self at the time, what is wrong with these people? Why are you celebrating? It's your money they used to fix the road. It's the man's work. Why? But you see, the curiosity in me stirred up something. I got home and I went to my radio show and I turned on the microphone and I said, I'm curious. Why is it that government uses your taxpayers' money to fix roads that as they should, but then you roll out the drums and celebrate them and they take it as part of the things that they've done as a government? Is it not their job? It struck a whole huge conversation. Why do we celebrate roads, pavement, and all of these things as opposed to good government policies? And I tell you what, I was a tiny little journalist. I wasn't the superstar. I was known, but I was a local champion. Now, on a normal day, if you work for a governor, you're not supposed to criticize your boss. You know how it is. And I was working for a state media, which is supposed to be an ass-kissing media. Sorry, am I supposed to say that here? Anyway, I know I had a lot of pushback the first few weeks, but guess what? My boss loved my show. He always listened as a governor. Yes, there were people around him that would say, that girl, she'll work with you, she'll go and criticize you, but he loved it. But that's when I knew that just normal newscasting or reportage was not my forte. I needed to dig deep into the things that governments were doing, and that's when I knew that politics was for me. And not too long from then, I think in 2012, I moved to join Nigeria Info in Port Harcourt. They were just starting Nigeria Info in Port Harcourt. I remember before then, I was in Lagos for a holiday, and I was just tuning for a radio station, and I heard one radio station, no music, nothing. They were just talking. I said, "Oh, this sounds like London Broadcasting. It's talk radio, no music,
LBC.
nothing." Yeah. I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I would love to work here." I just said it to myself, and that was it. And then a year later, my friend and colleague Kofi, who had left Calabar, called me and said, "Oh, would you like to work in Cool FM?" I said, "Oh, no, I don't do that." And I said, "No, they have a station called Nigeria for it's talk radio." And I was like, "Yes." And fast forward, I'm working in Nigerian film. Now, when I wanted to leave, deputy governor at the time was like, "Why do you want to leave?" I was about to do my youth service at the time, which I didn't. And he said, "You can come and serve me. You can come and serve me in Calabar."
They didn't hear that part.
Oh, I don't care. So I was like, "No, I think it's time for me to spread my wings." And I remember my boss at the time used to say, "You'll get us in trouble. I know that you have good intentions, but you're going to get us in trouble." You know, half the time my boss is jumping up the stairs. You say, "What did you say now?" And but all of those things were preparing me for where I am today, which I love. And I'm very grateful to all the people who supported me and got me to where I got to. My bosses, way back when, it will shock you that they still support me till tomorrow. My biggest fans, they tell me, "I saw you on TV. Oh, I saw that you went to school in this place and then you got this award." I mean, I love them all and I appreciate them. So when I got to Nigerian food, it wasn't so easy for me because
there are definitely challenges.
Yeah, because these guys were talking and giving facts and information, and I was just like, is there a chip behind their head? Because how do you have all this information in your head? Like, how do you remember all these things? But then to do that job, you need to be able to understand that there's certain information that you have to put out, and it has to be very accurate. The Nigerian info has really helped inform me. You won't even believe it that I'm here years later. I started working in Nigeria in 2012. This is 2004.
2024.
Sorry, 2024, guys. And a lot has changed, and I now do like a primetime show, purely politics. I tell people it's the best job in the whole world.
To you,
I didn't choose the job; it chose me. So I look at it as service to my listeners. Yeah.
So do you have regrets with the aspect that you're doing this job today?
The only regret I have is that I don't want to drive Range Rover, but it's okay. I love it that my audience is getting informed. They know their rights. They're able to ask.
Apart from the fact you're not driving Range Rover,
I have no regrets. No regrets whatsoever. I don't think that I would be this happy if I were a lawyer or if I were a musician.
So you're really satisfied.
I feel like this is what God wanted me to do because I don't know. Is there any more interesting thing in the world than being a journalist? I don't know. Because you know a little bit of everything.
Okay. So guys, pardon me. We actually did not introduce the topic. So we're actually discussing career satisfaction. So, Maryann, what do you understand by career satisfaction and how do you measure it?
I think I just said that and everything that I just said, but career satisfaction might mean different things to different. For some people, they pick a career because of money or because of the glamour that comes with it. A lot of people make that mistake when they go into journalism because of what they see on TV. So they feel like, oh, they want to be celebrities. Real broadcast journalists are not celebrities. They're just journalists. Celebrities are disc jockeys and OAPs like Toke Makinwa and IK, Sakadua, and a few other people. But the guys who are journalists who go dig dirt up and roll up their sleeves and get to work are not celebrities. They don't have the most money. They don't have the most glamorous life. But I think that anything that you do and at every time you're called up to do it, you're excited to do it. That's career satisfaction. No matter how much you make from it, sometimes it's not about how much you make from it, but the satisfaction that you get from it, the fulfillment that you get from it, is what you should consider. But like I said, for me, I think it's when you're called up to do anything and you're excited to do it. For me, if you call me now and say I need you to speak up, I literally light up
like talking.
I like to talk. Yeah.
Do you know one thing that I like about Maryann? I know you guys might, you have to believe it though, because she's literally my boss. I have to say that on live camera.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
And I'm learning a lot from her. Like I'm literally learning a lot from her. And she's one of the most humble person I've ever seen. And she's quite loyal. I'm not saying it to actually praise her though, but she's that kind of person. If you're with her, you would always be happy because no moment with her is actually dull. Yes, she's a very happy person at all times. I'm not sure I've actually seen her angry before.
Yes, you have.
I've not.
Yes, you have.
I haven't.
The girl, the drama.
Oh. That was the person that she brought it out in you, but
Yeah,
I've
so
never seen you angry, just maybe you're just pissed off about something. I've not just
I
seen
have
you
my
angry
moments. I
before.
don't think anybody wants to see me angry. It's
And
not
no,
pretty.
that is something like that. I'm
It's
pretty
not
sure that
pretty.
people like you, if you're angry, it's going to be very bad.
Yeah, it's not. So I like to be a happy person. There's no need. Well, I took day for this life. I'm big.
You have to avoid it. So, what are the most fulfilling aspects of your job?
So, like I said, the fact that people walk up to you and say, "Thank you so much. You talked about this, and it really helped this person or helped me, or I learned that I could speak up about this or that." I learned, I remember in Port Harcourt there was a young lady whose child was sexually molested, and we made a big deal out of it. We talked about it on the radio. We talked about the policemen who were involved, and the conspiracy, and that story and that singular act of us putting it out there helped a child, helped a mother and a grandmother. And when people thank you for, you know, being in the spotlight and stuff like that, I don't think there's any other fulfillment in the world because you feel like my job here is done. I have, even if it's just one life I have affected. It's
It means
taken
a
me,
lot.
yeah. So I mean, that's basically it.
So, can you share an experience where you've been undervalued in the industry and how were you able to address it?
Undervalued. Hmm. I've been pretty lucky in
Okay.
this industry. Pretty lucky. Have I had times when I was being owed? Yes. When I worked in the civil service before I became a regularized staff and I was a contract staff, we were owed so much money, and I just felt like I was being taken advantage of. But like I said, some of these things that you experience is helping you to be a better person. So I never really felt undervalued, and I've never been underpaid at any time in my life. Even when I was underpaid, I think at that point it was what I could earn. Um, so I really can't speak to that experience that much,
Okay.
but yeah, I've had some crazy experiences, but not in an undervaluing way. If you get what I mean.
So, would you want to tell me one of the most, or how do I put it? How do you tend to ensure your passion is always in line with your job after years of being in the industry?
Well, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. I just know that I can't function anywhere else. I mean, if you give me a bank job today, I'll resign in maybe a week. You know. I, I don't know. I wake up. It's a routine for me. I wake up, watch TV, listen to the radio. What's the news saying? Except when I'm on vacation. But what I do every day to hone my skills is to read, to inform myself, open my mind up, to listen to people I think are better than me, and find out what they're doing right and get to do it better. And that's what helps me keep stay on the straight and narrow in this industry.
So, what are the most important lessons you've learned in your career?
Whatever you're given to do it with all your heart. Do it as if you're doing it to God and not unto man. Because I think the Bible says that a man who's diligent in his ways, you've served before kings, and I have served before kings. I've walked through doors that I never dreamt I would walk through, and that's because I'm sure that my bosses can attest to this, that there's nothing they've ever given to me, and I said I couldn't do it. I always say yes, even when I know it's a deep end. But every time you fail, you learn how not to do it. So,
So, how do you want to be remembered in the industry?
And that I came, I saw, I conquered. That's it. I just want to make sure that I just want people to. I mean, I want people to feel like I added value because once you're dead, you're dead. That's
Good, interesting. You just answered all the questions. I'm not sure I have any other questions. So before we go,
it. And
guys,
we're done.
before we go, she's about to go. But before we go, we want to say a big thank you to Maryann. Do you have any advice for our audience?
For every young person, don't be impatient. Don't be too impatient. Don't undervalue yourself. Don't also overvalue yourself. Preparation is key. Never be found wanting. That's it.
Hmm. Interesting. Before we go, I want to say a big thank you to you for honoring our invitation. We don't take that for granted. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Guys, we're about to go. We are going to see you in our next show. Do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bye.